Hello, my name's Danielle and I'm a lawyer at DSL Law. I spend every single day working in, around and with retirement village operators and residents, and I completely understand that deciding to move to a village can be really overwhelming. I like to help my clients by explaining to them all the things that I would want to know if I was moving into a village, and that's what I want to share with you today. Today we're going to start by looking at what a retirement village is, what you really need to know, so the questions you should be asking, what that all actually means, whether you need an expert, and is there anything else from a legal perspective that you should know. So legally, retirement villages are different to any other sort of accommodation that you might know or be familiar with. I get it, they look the same as other places that you've lived in. They have front doors, bedrooms, kitchens, but they're vastly different from a contractual perspective because it's not the physical features that define them at all, it's the contract. So a contract for a normal house that you might buy is about 15 pages long, and it governs what happens on one single day, settlement day. A contract that you might sign for a retirement village can vary between 20 pages and 200 pages, I'm not exaggerating, and it governs what happens when you get disclosure on settlement day, every single day you live in that village, and the day you leave. So as you can see, they're really vastly different propositions. So for that reason, it's important to take the time to really understand what's being presented to you. And I think if I could give one tip, it would be to make sure that you have the right pit crew, I suppose, in your corner, the right team in your corner. So pick your financial advisor and your legal advisor and any friends and family that you want to talk to in order to make sure you're making the right decision for you. So when you get given these large documents, you might wonder, what do I really need to know? There's so much information, can you just break it down for me? And the answer varies from person to person, absolutely. So I suppose if I had to concentrate on the things that might cause problems or raise questions in the future, it's all around financial aspects. So from that perspective, I would say just take a moment to really understand what it means. I'm not going to say whether any particular village offers a good deal or a bad deal because I can't say that. It really depends on you, and the most important thing is that you understand what that is before you move in. Some of the things or the questions that might be important to you could be around the building, and that might be, what facilities is this building going to have? What does it have today? Are you going to be building around my unit? Because that's all important and it can impact on your every single day. There are other things that can impact on your time in a village. So for example, what about pets? Pets might be really important to you, and you might want to be able to bring Buffy the Chihuahua to come and live with you. Alternatively, you might be allergic to pet hair, so it might be really important for you to understand whether a particular village allows pets or doesn't allow pets. Residence committees are important because they're really your voice and direct interaction with the operator themselves. You might want to be on the residence committee. If you're not, I would suggest to you that you make friends with someone who is on the residence committee because that can be a very useful friendship. Accreditation can be an indicator of a fantastic operator. And on that note, I would say choosing your operator is incredibly important. So an operator who may not have been in the business for a long time or may only have one village might need a little bit more investigation. An operator who's been in the business for a long time, has a number of villages, could be a safer proposition. I would also suggest to you that you go broader. Don't just look at your 200 pages of disclosure and contract material. Go to the village, see what it's like. Go to happy hour, meet Betty in the Bowls Club, have a look at what they've got on their social calendar, because you need to make sure that it's the life that you really want. And villages can change, definitely between each other, quite drastically. So what does all of this actually mean? If you've got all of this information, in relation to financials, in relation to behavioural standards, in relation to when you enter and when you leave. As a lawyer, you're not going to believe I'm going to say this, but the answer is it depends. It depends on you. So if for you, particular financial aspects are really important and this village offers it, then happy days. That's great. That's for you. But it really needs to be weighed up carefully. What this means today might change. So keep that in mind. People sometimes, particularly younger people, feel quite healthy and think that they'll never need extra care, or that's not even a condition or a requirement for them. But keep it in mind because things can change and they can change quite rapidly. So some things to keep in mind when you're looking at a retirement village might be, is it okay for me to vary this unit to include things to make it more accessible? By that I mean grab rails in the bathroom. Another factor could be, is there a co-located aged care facility? Another factor could be, how soon do I get my money back? So in most retirement village contracts, there's a standard repayment period or a mandatory buyback provision, and that's legislated in many states. In Queensland, the rule is 18 months. But what we're seeing in the industry, by and large, is that things are changing. Operators are innovating. They have to respond to what residents are wanting and asking and demanding. So we're seeing many operators like Aveo, for example, offering arrangements where there are repayments far sooner than the legislation even requires. If that's important to you, then you should definitely ask that question right at the very beginning, before you sign a contract. One of the questions that I get asked a lot is, should I consult an expert when I'm thinking about moving into a retirement village? But I would suggest that you do. And when I say expert, I mean financial expert and also a legal expert. From the legal side of things, a lawyer can really help you, I suppose, demystify a lot of what's involved in moving into a retirement village. So that can be as simple as explaining the language. We've already talked about this almost code-like language that people use with ingoing contribution and exit entitlements, when really all they mean is purchase price and sale price, for example. They can also have a look and ask you what's really important to you, so they can give you advice that's really relevant and specific to you, which is what matters at the end of the day. Retirement villages are governed around Australia by each individual state. So that means that Queensland has a piece of legislation and New South Wales has one and Tasmania has one and so on. And that legislation in some cases is deceptively similar, and in other cases it's markedly different. But what I can tell you as someone who's worked in this field consistently over the last 10 years is that there's been a really common and increasing trend of absolute consumer protection. So we have seen each state go through marked changes of updates to their legislation to, I suppose, what is really crescendoed in what we're seeing right now. So I would say there's never been a better time to buy a retirement village from a legislative security protection. And what I mean by that, the government has in place a set of measures that offers all residents who purchase in a retirement village protection. So that protection varies, and I'll give you a few examples. When you're looking to purchase, most states have a very in-depth disclosure requirement. So that means that the operator is required to tell you how much it is, what the financial setup is, so how much will it cost you when you move in, when you live in, and when you leave. They'll be required to tell you other types of information as well. Are they accredited? Are there pets allowed? Are there visitors allowed? Will you be required to maintain your own unit, or will that come with the unit? There are other protections in addition to disclosure. So I think one of the areas that I've seen the most change in is in relation to accounting. And what I mean by accounts is really the annual budget and what you're going to pay of that budget. Retirement villages are a really interesting proposition because what you pay every year is just the actual cost of running the village. There's no profit for operators. It's a cost recovery basis. So what operators give you is basically a budget of what they think it's going to cost to run the village for the next year on a cost recovery basis, and they divide that between the residents to determine what you will pay on a weekly or fortnightly or monthly basis as your service fees. So what that does, in effect, at the end of the day, is gives you complete transparency in relation to what you're paying and what that's going towards. When you get expert advice, it's important to know that it is not just you specific, but it's also village specific. So if you're looking at a particular village, you get advice, and then you decide to go with another village, it's really important to update that advice and refresh it because things can be so different from one village to another. The main item that can be different is the financial offering. So how much do I pay? What is the exit fee? What are the capital gains implications? That really is a village by village proposition. And in some villages, operators are even offering choice. So you might have the opportunity to pick between certain options. So at the end of the day, if you've made the decision to move into a retirement village, is there anything else you need to know? I would be saying yes, there's two more things. So first of all, have a think about the other legal documents that might exist in your life. So this is a great time to have a look at your power of attorney or your wills or your estate planning generally. So in most people's wills, they might have a provision that says, I give my house at 42 Smith Street to my daughter. But you might not have a house at 42 Smith Street. In fact, you don't have any real property anymore. You've got a right to reside. So it's really important to have a look at your will and make sure it fits your new lifestyle. The second thing is your power of attorney. So this is an incredibly important document, probably the most important document I think anybody can sign at any time of their lives, because it allows somebody to step in your shoes and make decisions for you. It's a really great time to check yours, make sure that it's what you want, and that everybody's aware of what your wishes are. The final thing I would say once you've made your decision to move into your village is just have fun. This is a fantastic time of your life, and I have nothing but really great feedback from my clients who have moved into villages. Thank you.